I'm only 2 years retired now, essentially. I mean, obviously one of those years was straight sort of in retirement into COVID, basically. I mean, it was hard for me because I had an identity as a rugby player. I had saddled my wagon to being the very best rugby player I could be, and every day was mapped out with routine, and I had a clear goal, and it was very much, here's what I want to achieve. Here's all the stuff we've talked about, all the breakdown that I was doing, everything area of my life was managed to try to get better. I was eager, to my last training session was trying to be better at something into my game, or trying to, do something that I did well, but even better. And then body gives up and you can't do that anymore, and you stop doing it. And yes, you have this kind of career that's great, but, as I've alluded to, I wasn't always as fulfilled as I should have been with what I'd done. I hadn't celebrated all the stuff I had done. I wanted more. I always want more. And that was hard to kind of deal with initially, because I kind of wanted to, to have gone back and achieved things and done things and stuff. You go through lots of emotions, really. I had a lot of fun, obviously. The first time I had in my life, I had weekends. I could get on the piss. I could go hot traveling. I ended up going to, I think it was something like 8 countries in 6 months doing something. Got to go on a honeymoon that we did, just loads of things. And it was amazing. And I started training, and I agreed to go to MMA. And I was like, this seems like a great idea. And I was like training, 6 days a week to do that. And, I kind of was part of a team again. It was quite edgy, and I was learning new skills. And I don't know. I think I kind of had it came to a head really basically where I had this thing, was gonna fight. Really, they say like, when a shark stops, well, if a shark stops swimming, it dies. It's a bit like me. I probably just was doing everything and saying yes to everything, being everywhere and earning money and speaking and performing and doing all the stuff that I wanted to do, and DJ gigs, and I DJed in Ibiza. I opened up for Craig David, and I was, this is wicked. And then kind of lockdown happened. It was like putting for the first time in 36 years the brakes on everything that I was doing, and sitting there and going, what am I doing with my life? I've been left with a pretty wrecked body. MMA obviously didn't help. The guys at London Shoot Fighters were amazing, but they are known for their intensity of training. I was sparring every day for jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and then sparring in the cage 3 days a week for those, proper scrapping. I had my bloods done, and my creatine kinase levels were like well into the thousands, like ridiculous. And that was on a day off. And I was, I'd had that jungle experience. I'd had that kind of, emotional roller coaster of that. And my profile had grown, but it hadn't really changed my life. And it had positives and negatives to it. Yep. And so lots and stuff happened. And then kind of in the lockdown period, I remember sitting down in my conservatory, doing podcasts, and we launched this business, and it was going well. And I remember just sitting there though one morning looking at Chloe going like, what the fuck am I doing? She's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing myself. Like, what am I like? Because all the DJing stopped because of COVID, all the public speaking stopped because of COVID, all the after dinners have stopped. The only thing I was doing was podcasting. The MMA was off, couldn't train, couldn't do any of this stuff. And then my body just started to get worse and worse. And I was still training, and I was doing stuff, but like my arthritis, my ankle got worse, and my back started playing up during that lockdown period. And, when you're constantly in pain, and I've been in pain for a long period of time with arthritis in my toe, which I ruptured playing against Australia, and then my ankle. Pain is a debilitating thing, and I'm always kind of just get on and go. And I'll address it, talk about it, and again, acupuncture, heat therapy, I'll do everything to make it work. And that's how I reconcile it. Well, is there any stone left unturned and looking after it? No. Well, if this is the best we're going to get, this is the best we're going to get. And being constipated can affect your mood. You want to go for a walk and you're limping, you want to train, you're limping. That was nagging away at me. And then I kind of, Chloe was great, kind of sitting down, and the tools I'd worked with, Jill, kind of kicked in, especially on the topic of what I was going to do next. She was like, right, what do you enjoy doing? Well, obviously you're a colossal show off. I was like, what do you mean? She goes, James, you're a performer and a storyteller. That's everything you do. You tell a story with music, you perform, you love the crowd, you love the technology. After dinner speaking, you love showing off, performing, podcasting, storytelling. It's all about performance. So you've managed to do all the things that you love about performance. This is what you can do. This is what you can do about post-lockdown. This is what you're getting paid for. This is what you can control it. And we went through it. And that kind of gave me some grounding. And I consistently went back to that list. And I then thought, you know what? Chloe and I are going to launch a podcast. I'll launch one with my book. We'll do this. And I busied myself again, and I started to see a therapist again and saying, look, you know, I need to address some of this pain stuff. And one of the things he recommended was acceptance, you know, kind of accept, not the perception of where you want to be and what you used to do, but where you are. And then if you can accept where you are, it's then moving forward and what your limitations are. And I just wasn't used to that. You know, my mind, I felt like I'm 21. I felt like I could still play, you know, from at that point, from my sort of knees upwards, I was fine. From my top of my shins upwards, I was fine. You know, I tore my pec doing the MMA thing, stupid. I'd never torn a muscle in my life, but bloody doing that. And that was kind of interesting to rehab that. And I had some goals, but what I learned very much about the retirement stuff was routine. I needed a routine, you know, so I needed to go breakfast at this time, wake up, train. I realized that I wanted to train, but I found someone to train with. As great PT that lives in Northampton, used to be a performance coach for Northampton, a guy called Marco Finney. I just started going to him and going to pay to see him 3 days a week, not procrastinate, just to go, right, please set a program. Here's my goal. Let's see how big we can get. Let's see how lean we can get. Just having that kind of direction. And then managing my time better. I got a PA that kind of started managing my diary better. So I wasn't running around like a blue ass fly. I was giving time to stuff that I wanted to do. But the pain issue with the body was hard, you know, and I don't have any medical insurance. A lot of insurance companies wouldn't touch me. So, you know, since I've retired, I've probably done about 25 to 30 grand on injections, operations, bits and pieces to manage. And the lockdown, my back got sort of worse, but I was managing it. And I had an injection about a year ago into my spine that kind of tried to calm it down. And then that then led to about well, it'll probably now be about 3 months ago, maybe. I bent over in the kitchen to pick something up. I felt brilliant. I was a bit like Icarus, flew too near the sun. I was like training the house down. I felt great. I mentally felt great. I bent over to pick something. I just went, oh, back spasm. And it just got worse and worse, to the point where I was like shuffling around, couldn't stand up straight, was like bent over to my right. Went on holiday to Ibiza, like amazing, got to like go DJ back to back with Bob Sinclair and Simon Dunbar at Cafe Mambo's, all the while in like agony, like leaning up against the thing, taking morphine, diazepam and everything else just to be able to like function through this holiday. Nothing was touching the side. So I came back, had an MRI scan on the way to actually see the surgeon, the consultation. So that I got the MRI scan. I was going to tell the results to him. I had an appointment and my doctor who got the results called me up and said, where are you? And I said, I'm in the car on the way to the surgeon. He goes, you need to get to the hospital now. He was like, he used to be my team doctor at Wasps. I was like, fuck off, Ralph. I'm not going to the hospital. Well, you stop being exaggerating. He's like, no. You need to get to hospital now. You're in danger of something called cordia equina. You need to get to an A&E now because they're going to have to probably operate on you. So I was like, listen, so it sent me the report, called everyone up, called it. And I was like, listen, I'm going to have this operation. And basically cordia equina is where your spinal cord is strangled by a disc, basically compressing it to the point. And my left knee was numb for that period of time. I was getting shooting pains in my leg, but not terrible. But I wasn't numb down there. Everything was still functioning. I was fine. And sitting down was okay. Got to the surgeon. Surgeon was like, look, yes, you're at high risk. Your disc is protruding. You don't have all the symptoms of this. I'm not going to operate, but I'll operate in a couple of days. He then got ill. and then pushed it back. And I had the operation about 13 days ago now. And he said that when he opened me up, the disc was far more protruding into my spine than he thought it was. And it doesn't any wonder how I was in, I was in so much pain. And so that's kind of the story of kind of retirement, full of like mad highs, some, not bad lows, but just some resetting things. And again, the valuation of identity coupled with this background thing of a body that, like, for a 36-year-old is fucked. Today my back is okay. My arthritis in my ankle is awful. And I'm still, I limp around a lot. I caught sight of myself walking past a shop and I just limp around. Like, people call me limpy. I'm like, I'm sorry, you can hear me clicking upstairs. But in terms of like mental wise, I'm happy. But the retirement, as I said, it's been all those journey of things. And it's been fun. It's been good. Would I say that I'm still fighting for my identity? Yes. Do I know what I want to do? And do I enjoy everything I do? Yes. And that's the one thing that a lot of people fuck up in retirement and do, is that they go and do stuff they don't want to do or they don't like. And that's a surefire way of getting depression, because you've lived a journey with 40 lads every year for 18 seasons, traveled around the world, got paid good money to do what you love, and been healthy, fit, and had a reason for doing what you were doing. You suddenly don't. You suddenly have to earn money. The drop off in pay, can be astronomical. And you sort of have to be very aware about it. A lot of lads jump in the city, go and do this other kind of stuff, and go and do this all these other work bits, and basically they hate it. I love everything I do. So all the stuff you've listed, mate, I love it. Writing, love it. Podcasting, love it. Speaking, love it. All that kind of stuff. The only problem is being a rugby player was a simpler life. You know, it was my identity. I was big. I was known physicality. I had direction. I had a fixed wage, and I knew, and there was an attainable, like almost pinnacle of where you could go. In my life now, it's how do you quantify success? So last time my book was a Sunday Times bestseller. Well, you know, if it's not number one or number two or number three, you know, is it a failure? Do I need to sell more? You know, podcasting. Well, we had the number one podcast in the world at a period of time. So it's the biggest sport, one of the biggest sports shows in the world. The numbers are mad. You know, but it's not the same as lifting a trophy. It's not the same as going into battle with your friends. So for those things, that can be a little bit hard. You know, sorry, my voice wasn't breaking there. I started getting really emotional. No, I've got something stuck in my throat. And so for me, it's kind of quite, it's quite tricky, some of that stuff. And it's a constant evolution. And I think, you know, the pain thing and the body letting you down is probably one of the hardest things, because in my mind, you know, I was trying to fight. I want to get my black belt in jiu-jitsu. I want to do this stuff, but you're suddenly brought right back down to earth by going, right, this is your spinal cord. Now I've got to adapt to my training. You know, I haven't run since the day I retired. And I tried to a couple of times. I mean, I could run when I was doing the MMA stuff and I was flowing, my body was working. You know, I'd run up and down the gym doing footwork, shuttles and stuff. And I haven't run since that. I haven't run since then. And I tried to do it once on a treadmill. And honestly, it was like and it must have been where this disc went. I was running like so upright that I don't know, I was like shooting pains in my legs. I was like, I can't do this. And I've never done that. And it's like, will I ever do that again? Do I need to try to run? I don't know. I've never really jogged. What's the story? And I'm like, I'm 36. Like I'm not ancient. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully I've got more life to live than the life I've had.